Hello everyone, welcome to another Pokemon the series, the beginning episode talks, and it's a sad day, boys. It's a sad day. It's a very sad day, because it's R.I.P. Lapras. Now, actually not R.I.P., but goodbye. I don't know why I said R.I.P., but it's goodbye, Lapras. Such a sad day. You know what? I will say this. Over the course of these Orange Islands episodes, I've actually gotten a bigger bond with Lapras than I thought I was going to get. You know, Lapras was a Pokemon that I never really used on my team, but maybe I should kind of start throwing that idiot on the team, but that also would mean, you know, kind of dropping Vaporeon from the team, who is in Generation 3, technically Fire Red and Leaf Green. My main water type. Maybe it's time to throw you off the team. I don't know, man. To be honest, they're not necessarily all that different. They have the same HP. I didn't even know that. Anyway, they're not really that much different. But yeah, Lapras is gone. But not forgotten, because don't worry about that. Lapras will return twice more. Once in Johto and once in Journey. So don't you worry about that. We'll see you again. Anyway, this episode starts off with Ash being proud of his winner's trophy. However, we can't really focus on that because Lapras senses something. And it's her group. We finally got to the group of Lapras that we were supposed to bring her to way earlier on. Because if you remember earlier, Ash said that we should bring Lapras back to her group. Well, now we can. However, problem is they want nothing to do with our Lapras because they don't seem to like humans. However, the lighter colored one, which we later learn is the mom, kind of wants to get her child back. But also, the leader is then like, no. So, gets denied. And then afterwards, a water gun mist causes them to fully vanish. Sadly enough. So we go to a nearby island and we call Professor Oak about the situation. He thinks it's because of the fact that these Lapras might have been hurt by bad humans. And then Jenny comes in and is like, it must be pirates. And then Ash is like, you mean like Captain Hook? And then Jenny's like, well, we call this one Captain Crook. I'm like, really? Come on, dude. But anyway, Ash also thinks that Team Rocket has something to do with this. But sadly enough, or luckily enough, Team Rocket has been hurt by those pirates. And they are in this hospital as well. So they are not the ones who are the baddies for this episode. So now it is time to find Lapras again after a little joke where Jenny is like, why don't you tell me all about it over at the station and then I can do some background checks on you guys, and then they just bolted. But anyway, we go out to find Lapras again. However, problem is pirates have found a group of Lapras first. So they use Tentacruel because they can't fire off cannonballs because that would be a little bit less child friendly. So they fire off Tentacruels instead in Pokeballs. And then the gang catches up. Tracy decides to leave with Meryl in order to get Jenny. And then Ash and Misty are going to help the Lapras. So Misty gets off with her water Pokemon in order to be able to get to the ship. Meanwhile, Ash and Lapras will distract the other Tentacruel that are there so that, you know, the Lapras can escape. Also, before that, I kind of forgot to talk about this, but anyway, before that, Ash decided that Pikachu's Thunder Shock would be a good idea and shocks everyone. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. The Tentacruel, the Lapras, the squad, everyone, except for the captain, I guess, because he was on the ship. So then, under the water, we have James and Meowth who are rooting for the twerps, which Jessie is not necessarily happy about, which was a funny scene. So the captain wants more Tentacruel to be fired, but they have no more Tentacruel. So then the captain grabs the guy and puts him in the cannon and then shoots him instead for no reason at all. So then Ash and Lapras get to the Tentacruel. They want to distract, but the Tentacruel aren't really caring much. So then Lapras hits him with Water Gun, the leader. So now all the Tentacruel are following them, so Lapras has to bolt it. And you would think that after sailing around throughout the Orange Islands, the Lapras would have some speed, but sadly enough, Tentacruel is kind of starting to catch up. So then Team Rocket are in between the Twerp and Tentacruel. So then James comes up with the idea of being like, wait, in order for the Tentacruel to get to the Twerp, won't they hit us first? And yeah, and blast off. There you go. Simple as that. So then Ash and Lapras get surrounded by Tentacruel, and the captain won't call off the Tentacruel. And then the Tentacruel are ready to attack Ash's Lapras. However, then the Lapras group, led by the mom probably, are here to help and freeze all of the Tentacruel. And I'm like, you couldn't have done this before. Technically, you could have escaped earlier if you just froze the water around the ship. I know we're not supposed to poke holes, but still, you could have done that anyway. But thanks to that, all of the Tentacruel have been defeated. Jenny arrives in order to arrest the pirates. And then we get the release of Lapras, which is a sad moment. You know, we've bonded with Lapras over these last 30 episodes a lot. And it's sad to see her go. But you know what? This is not the end, Lapras. You will come back twice. So it's a less sad goodbye. It's not like Primate where we'll never see him again. This time we'll still see you again. We'll see you twice, and once in a fantasy as well, technically. And I think in openings as well, but we're not gonna count that because I think that was Japanese openings only. So we've released Lapras, and now the gang continues on their journey back to Palatown. And overall, I very much liked this episode. I thought it was a fun episode, except for the ending, obviously, with the release of Lapras. But overall, I very much enjoyed this episode. It had some good jokes in it as well with Team Rocket. And yeah, I like the fact, I mean, it's weird that it's pirates, but I didn't really mind that at all. So, let me know what you guys thought about this episode in the comment section down below. With that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new, if not already, turn notifications, don't forget, check out the Let's Play channel link in the description and at the end of the video. And then next up, we have the final filler episode of the Orange Island Saga. Bye!